we will be basically talking about smart literature review, how to use Google Scholar to find the most relevant papers, how to use Typeset.io, art discovery, and we'll be discussing about free download sources, how to read and write research papers, and critical self-review of your written paper. So over to you, Dr. Saklan.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Gaur, can you
Yes,
hear
sir.
me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much for the kind introduction. Should we wait a few more minutes so that more and more students can come and join us? Should we start?
We shall start, sir. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, we were trying to set it up. So thank you very much for coming, everyone. Thank you for registering into this session. Since our topic is about reading, writing, and publishing in natural sciences, and I hope that you have already watched my previous video about this. But I again need to go through some details about those previous sessions, which I will do it quickly. But I've tried to add something new, something very fascinating. That as you go through all these, it will be very helpful for you to do an efficient literature review as well as read and write research paper. So I hope you already know, you already understand that what is research. Research is all about creating new knowledge from the current knowledge, understanding the current knowledge, understanding the challenges in the current science, and then finding opportunities into the current science, and then giving your own contribution is called research. And I'm sure that you already are aware about what a research is. So this is about novelty. When you talk about research, credible research, this is all about creating new knowledge, and this is about novelty to contribute something into the literature which no one has done before. So I will, without going into the theory, I will go straight to the practical, and I will try to demonstrate something very useful. And I've started with the Google Scholar. You know that during your MPhil or during your PhD, I assume that once you have conducted your coursework, you have already some tendency towards a particular field in which you want to carry out your research. You already made up your mind. You have met some supervisors, you have met your colleagues and friends, and you have something in your mind that, yes, I want to pursue my research area. It may be like bond tissue engineering, it may be some photovoltaic devices, it could be some spintonic materials. You already have something in your mind. You have a natural bias towards the particular field, and after that you are blank and you don't know what to do. I'm telling you a practical way, is a straightforward way, and I'm sure that most of you already know this, but I want to repeat for those who do not know much about this. You have to start with the Google Scholar. And by the way, what I'm telling you, it is just my opinion. Maybe you can find some different approach. There are thousands of different approaches to how you can start literature review, how you can read and write papers. But I'm telling you my perspective, which I have been following for many years, and I have been teaching across different universities, and it has been very successful. So I said go to the Google Scholar, which is the most reliable and efficient way to start our research. So for example, that during your coursework, you have built a natural tendency towards a particular field. For example, let me say that you are attracted towards the field in which you use nanoparticles for drug delivery, for example. So I will start with some review articles, try to find some review articles about this particular field. So I'm putting a query: drug delivery, nanoparticles, and then I need to add a word: review. Remember, review articles are very useful to start with in a literature review if you have no prior background in this particular area, because review articles are those which are written by the top class scientists who have a wide experience, who have a long list of publications, and they are experts in this particular field. So what they do, there are different types of research papers, articles. One is a regular research article, we call research article, in which we conduct some research and then you publish it. There is another criteria, there is another type of papers which is called review articles, review papers, in which the experienced scientists, they actually go through the entire significant research in that particular field, all the major developments and all the challenges in that particular field. They compile, they assemble, they organized all the major research in that particular field, and they write a paper which we call a review article. So all those new researchers who have not started their literature review, it can be a very good start, and I always recommend to start your literature review with a review article. So when you add the word review, it will provide you a list of articles that are basically the review articles. For example, the first I see: engineering precision nanoparticles for drug delivery, nanoparticles for drug delivery systems, nanoparticles a review. Some of them may be useless, you don't want to find them, so you will get a long list. For example, for this query, I'm getting 17 lakh and 20,000 papers, and of course you're not going to read all of them. So how to choose the fine pearls from this ocean of knowledge? I will bring your attention to this thing, the cited by. Cited by 2455. This article was published in 2021, just 2 years back, and in 2 years it has secured 2455, approximately 2500 citations. It means that in 2 years 2500 people have almost cited this paper into their research papers. It means that this paper is something very, very special. And of course, if you look at the journal, it is Nature Review. Nature is a big company, the best company in the world, the best publishing company. So this is a Nature article, and you are definitely not going to miss this article. So how would you, so since there are millions of articles in this single research query, how would you fine tune your research? If you look at the left side, uh, anytime, there is a timeline basically. At this moment, it is at any time, that it is just showing you from any time. You can also find your papers since 2023, 2022, since 2019, and you can also provide a custom range. For example, you want papers only from 2014 to 2018, you can just put it over here and it will provide you a long list of those articles from within this range. So this is one way to find your research, to tune your search into this Google Scholar. The other thing that you must keep in mind is this citation index: 2455, 1370, 2487, and 1965, 4124. Now look at this article. This has been cited by 4,000 people since 2008. And always remember, an older article, an older research people will naturally be getting more and more citations, because it has been a long time since that article was published. And always remember that high citation articles are mostly based on the fundamentals of that particular research. So review articles, they not just only give you uh, the complete overview of the developments and the challenges and opportunities into that field, it also builds the fundamentals and the basic science of that particular field. So I recommend you to start reading articles from the highly cited articles. For example, I'm aware that this is a paper from 2008, but since it has been cited from by 4,000 people, it means that this article is something special. Probably it deals with some particular fundamental science that was recently discovered at that time, and it has attracted a lot of attention. So your first research will be based on these citations, these citation index. And the other important thing is that you must consider is the impact factor. For example, I choose this article and I want to see what is this impact factor. I always recommend to keep yourself to some nice impact factor articles. For example, it must be like above 5 maybe. Any impact factor above 5 is very reputed, and it has some credible information. So all you have to do is put it in Google, open this link, and you will find the impact factor somewhere. Yeah, here is the impact factor. Its impact factor is 4.4. So it is a respectable impact factor. You can go with this article and you can read it. Similarly, if whether it's an Elsevier journal or RSC journal or ACS journal, so I'm telling you two criteria to select your papers, and that are based on: number one, citation index. It must be very high. It must be respectable. And number two, the impact factor of the articles must be really respectable. For example, this Nature Review Drug, it must be a very good journal. So you must be reading articles from this one. And similarly, you can fine tune articles. Suppose you have read a couple of review articles using these citation index. You can also now tune it to further to see the most recent articles like since 2019. When you click since 2019, it will show you articles only that were published after 2019. And then you can pick a few articles that are relevant to your natural bias, and you can start reading them. Now, after you read a couple of review articles, you will get an idea that what has been happening in that particular area, what has been the key developments, what has been the challenges, and what are the current opportunities that you can hunt to pursue your own research area. Because you have to remember one thing: the research is all about walking on a narrow rope, walking on a narrow line. You have to narrow down your focus from a broader focus to a narrow focus. You have to confine yourself onto something very narrow. So from this query, you have learned that there could be some different types of nanoparticle systems that could be used in drug delivery. And after reading some review articles, you came to conclusion that there is something like magnetic nanoparticles that are attracting your attention, and it looks like you have started liking that particular area. That magnetic nanoparticles are really fascinating. You will again put a word magnetic into this. Now, this is the second part of the query. You will put magnetic, the word magnetic nanoparticles, and you will do the same again. You will again find a couple of good research articles from any time. And here are some magnetic nanoparticles for drug delivery. As you've seen, you can see it from the title also. A title also reflects that it can be a review article. And so 1094, 1965, 3000. So highly cited articles must be read by, you must read the highly cited articles because these are written by the pioneers. That's the reason that they have attracted so many citations. 2000, this is from 2010 to 118. And then you should also find the most recent contributions. You will go to the 2019 or 2022, and you will check a couple of articles if you find useful. By looking at the impact factor and the citation index, you will find that these articles will be very useful for you. Now, after reading a couple of review articles from this query, from this field, later on you realize, no, remember that you are now focusing your research towards a very narrow line, as I told you earlier. So you learn from your literature review that there is something super paramagnetic, iron oxide nanoparticles. And here, you don't have to read the review articles, because At this stage, you have already made up your mind that superparamagnetic iron oxide nanoparticles is something that is worth reading, that is worth exploring the actual research articles from the most recent dates, the most recent articles. So you'll find it. You can again check at any time. You will see different citations. As you see, again, the parameters are the number of citations and the good impact factor of the articles. You will find some good articles from any time. And then particularly for this query, you will find the most recent articles as well. You can start it from like 2019. If you find some good sites, good citation articles are papers from the high impact papers, that is very good. Then you can narrow down your research to since 2022. Then you can further narrow it down to since 2023, where you will find the most recent contributions from the scientific community. And the more you read these articles, the more you will be able to confine yourself on a very narrow line, which is actually the essence of any research project. So you will start downloading these articles. You will create a library, you will create a list of articles, and after creating that list, you will later on, you will notice that there will be many articles that will be useless for you, and you just don't want to waste your time on those articles. So you can just delete them and just fine tune your library for the most relevant ones. So this is one way. I will come to the reading part later. But now, since we are using Google Scholar, meanwhile, I want to tell you that there are some other effective uh, searching tools for the efficient literature review. Uh, for example, I'm showing you on screen, this is typeset.io. Typeset.io is an artificial intelligence based resource based website for the literature review or finding articles, for reading articles. This is the home page that you're seeing. It is based by SciSpace, typeset.io. Suppose you got some very good research article and you want to find similar articles. You want to find that kind of articles, and it is very difficult. It is very hard to find it using the Google Scholar. So what you will do, first of all, you will create a login which is completely free. You will sign up using your email address, and then you will upload a PDF. You have already a research paper that is of your key interest, and you want to find some more articles about this particular field that are related to this paper. So you will find that paper, you will upload it. So it is uploading that paper. Now, this paper has been uploaded. This is an amazing website. Uh, there are different things that you can do with this. For example, you can just select a paragraph, right click, you can summarize it, pick any paragraph, one paragraph, a couple of paragraphs, you can summarize it. And on the right side, you can see a co-pilot. It is an artificial intelligence based uh, chatbot. It's a co-pilot. It's a chatbot which is AI based. I hope you have heard the word chat GPT. So you can say that it's a kind of thing that is very helpful for this kind of search. So it will tell you, it will create a summary of any paragraph of any part. You can create a summary of any part. You can summarize any part into a more concise and more understandable language. You can also, another thing is, you can also do you can find related papers. If you click this, it will provide you, it will search related papers to this particular paragraph or to this research article. It will provide you a list of related articles, and this is very, very helpful tool for you. You can also explain text. I mean, if the language, if the jargon, the scientific and technical jargon is very complicated and it's very hard for you to understand, you can just click explain text, and it will explain you in a very plain language by minimizing the use of the technical jargon. So as you see, I just selected 4 lines, and it is explaining you like it is teaching you like undergrad students. So there are various things that you can do with this. Furthermore, there are some built-in questions that you can ask this. For example, explain abstract of this paper in 2 lines. It will explain it in 2 lines. You can do further. What are the contributions of this paper? Explain the practical implications of this paper. I mean, this is AI-based tool, and you don't have to read and understand each and every. You don't have time for that. You can just use this AI-based tool to save your time. So these are the practical implications of paper as follows. Furthermore, summarize introduction of this paper. Yeah, the introduction of the paper discusses the importance of blah blah blah. Uh, Methods used in this paper. Yeah, these are the methods that have been used. Similarly, conclusions from the paper, limitations of the paper, future work suggested in this paper, and you can also create your own query, whatever you want. You can also you want to create some other query, you want to find something that is not in this list. You can write your own, find your own question. Another useful thing that you can do is when you create a library, a list of papers in this typeset.io, you can export this list to your Zotero library, to your EndNote library, and your Mendeley library. I hope you're aware of these reference management tools, which are very essential when writing your own manuscript. So you can export this list, these articles, into your own library of Zotero and EndNote. Meanwhile, I want to show you another similar source, which is actually an app. You have to find R Discovery, this R Discovery, capital R Discovery, into your Android, in your Apple phone, or in your Microsoft computer search from the Play Store. And suppose in Android, you will find this page. This is our discovery, and it is also very useful tool. You can see its rating is 4.5, and it has been downloaded more than 1 million times. This is also very helpful tool to again find the similar articles. There is a possibility that you cannot find the similar articles from that typeset.io, but this will definitely give you a list of similar articles that you want to find in a particular research. It will also generate that library citations. It will export them to Zotero and EndNote and Mendeley. It is also very helpful. One more thing is you can actually hear, you can listen to the voices. Suppose you want to hear the abstract, you can also hear that abstract in any language, in English language, even in Urdu language. It can translate you and give you a real time. So these are the AI-based tools that should be very helpful. And I'm sure that very few of you were aware about these tools. Now, coming back to the research articles. Uh, okay. Can you see my screen? Okay. There are different ways to download articles free. I won't name it. You already know it. So I don't want to, since this is official, so I don't want to tell you, but I know that this is I just skipped the apps of website. I'm sure that many of you are already using it. It is very effective. You can find every piece of article from that website. I don't want to name it, but you already know it. Uh, there are other ways that if it is hard for you to find articles, one way is that the public sector universities like GC University, Punjab University, UET, HEC provides them this facility that they can download any research article from any journal. But for the private universities, this facility is not available most of the times. So what you can do is you can put the title of that article into the Google, and then you add the word ResearchGate. This is just google.com. The article that you want to find for free, you can put the title into the query and put the word ResearchGate. And most of the times, I believe this is my experience, that 90% of the times you will find a PDF link to this research article. The reason is that ResearchGate is, you may call it a kind of Facebook of researchers and scientists. And almost every researcher puts their PDF files of every article into the research accounts. And always remember, we are talking about citation index. Every author, every scientist and researcher wants a great citation index. Every author wants more, that their article must be uh, read and cited by more and more people, because this is how it develops their impact factor. So that's the reason that the authors want to give an easy access to their articles. They put it out on their websites, on their ResearchGate profiles. So this is a way that you can find articles from the ResearchGate. You can find the PDF files. There are other ways to find, download articles for free. For example, as you see on the screen, there are different groups and pages. For example, this is a closed group with the name of Research Articles, Books and Literature. All you have to do is, you have to provide the information, download link, or the volume and the journal information. You have to put a comment into that, put a post over here, and believe me, within like 15 minutes, or in sometimes there will be someone who will be sending you the PDF file of this article. As you see that this article was sent within 2 hours, as you see in this picture. This is another way to using groups and pages of this kind to get free articles. Now coming to reading articles. Uh, you have created a library of articles that you have downloaded and you want to read them. Always keep it in mind that the articles that you are reading today, you shall be reading them many times during your PhD or your MPhil. Every time your perspective of reading that article will be different. For example, most of the time, the first time that you read the article is mostly to understand, to hunt for a new topic. You want to find the opportunities in that topic, because the first phase in your research is about writing a synopsis, to writing a project. And for that, you focus you put your entire focus on finding some opportunity, finding some existing challenges, and then finding some opportunities, so that you are able to write your own research paper, own synopsis. So you mostly focus yourself onto the introduction section, because introduction of every research article, it is a mini literature review with fundamental science, plus the research gaps, the literature gaps in that particular field. That is the part that actually provides you some opportunities and challenges. And one more thing that you focus is the feature suggestions in that articles. Almost every article provides some feature suggestions. You also focus on the feature suggestions when it comes to writing your own research article. No, for example, you are a senior research student. You have passed through the phase that you have already written a research synopsis and you are conducting your research. Your next focus may be on the materials and methods, the method that you want to follow. You shall be reading many papers to hunt, to find certain specifications about the methodology. Now, suppose you have conducted, you have finished the methodology. Your next phase will be, your next focus could be how to find the coherence between your results and the previous results. What kind of results and how they were presented into the previous literature. This time you will be focusing your reading onto the results. And once you have once you have written the results, what will be your next and ultimate focus, the most important one? That will be now the data interpretation. Now you will be reading these articles in perspective of the data analysis, the discussions. So the point I want to make is, you will have to read an article a number of times. It will be the same research articles, but you will be reading them different times with different perspectives, with different focus. And remember, other important thing that you have to keep in mind, that tomorrow when you are writing your own thesis, when you're writing your own research article, you using the same type of jargon, the same type of technical language, the same type of verbosity of the technical analysis, the discussions part, the most important one, the data interpretation, the most important one. You shall be using that kind of technical language. You shall be borrowing that technical language into your research article. So you have to be very careful that you are reading the papers in a very effective way and you are effectively taking the notes. As you see, these are the notes that I created myself several years ago, like 10 to 15 years ago, when I was reading these articles, because I knew that the articles that I'm reading today, I shall be using them after 1 or 2 years when I will be referring back to these articles for my data interpretation, for writing the discussion part of a section. So how I approached and how many people approach while reading is, whenever I find something essential, whenever I find something important that I think that I should be using later on into my own research articles, I just highlight them, I underline them, and I put small clues, hints. For example, if you look at this, if you look at the cursor, this is about effect of magnetic field on the crystallization. I talk of hydroxyapatite and on bioactivity. This entire paragraph deals with it. Similarly, this is about the proton transfer from HPO4 to water. This is about spin inversion, and this is about in magnetic field. For example, this right side, this section deals with in vitro studies. This section also deals with in vitro studies. This section deals with magnetic particle size must be 2 to 4 nanometers, super paramagnetism. Uh, so, as you see, these are the different sections. These are the different specific sections that I believe that I should be using them tomorrow when I should be reading my own research articles. I create this kind of notes with my pen. You can do it digitally or you can use your pen. By the way, reading articles using pen is the most effective way because you can stare on the screen. Uh, After reading a complete article, then you will create some notes at the top of your article. For example, I know that this I have written on the face of this paper that this article is about introduction. This introduction is very beautiful. It deals with the effect of magnetic field Fe3O4 on nucleation, crystallization of hydroxyapatites and bioactivity. It is about proton transfer. It is a A+ paper. It's a very good paper. It deals with spin inversion. It deals with spin super paramagnetism. Its XRD part is written beautifully. Its FTER peaks are very beautiful. It gives a detailed in vitro studies. It deals with mesopores, carbonate ion substitution reactions, and blah blah. Whatever significant, essential, and important you find within a research article that you believe that you should be referring to later on after some years while you be reading, writing your own paper and thesis, you have to mark them, and you will be doing this thing with every article that you read. And you will put a library, you will put it in a folder, and believe me, after 1 year, after 2 years, when you are now writing your own research article, and you just it is back in your mind that I had read an article in which the super paramagnetism was defined in a beautiful way, and you're not sure that which article was that. Suppose you created a library of 200 articles, you cannot read them all again. All you have to do is just scroll these pages, scroll these articles, and after a few seconds or minutes, you will find that particular article that you want to find, that you intend to find and use. So this is an effective way to read articles. And always remember, to become a good writer, first you have to become a good reader. Always read between the lines, always understand the technical jargon, the technical language. And I must tell you that this technical language of research articles is slightly different from the plain English that we read in the newspapers or the books. This is a technical verbosity. It's a scientific verbosity. It has its own conventions. Uh, it's a very formal language. It's a very technical language. So while you're reading articles, you have also tried to understand that how they are forming a sentence, how they are building their arguments, how they are presenting their data, how they're explaining their tables and figures. So as I said earlier, To become a good writer, first you have to become a very good reader. Uh, After reading stuff, coming to the next section. Now it is about writing articles. Always remember, the published sequence of an article is different, mostly different than the writing sequence. You know, when you see a research article, you will, most of the times you will find uh, the headings, the parts, the different sections in this way. It will start with the title, then it will be abstract, followed by introduction, then it will be materials and methods, results, discussions, and conclusions. But when you're writing an article, you won't follow this sequence. You won't start the title at the beginning, because you will be writing title at the end of the entire manuscript. When you've written the whole article, then you will write a title. First thing you will write is, you will write the information that is easily available to you, and that is naturally materials and methods, the methods that you used, the methodology, the experimental section that you use, that is the most easily available information, and you will start the easiest one with the easiest one. The next thing that is available to you is results. Naturally, you will, the next section that will write is results. After writing results, now the things are getting technical. Now here it comes to interpretation. You will now relate those results with the introduction. Actually, now you will write an introduction. You are building in your mind, you are creating a story in your mind, you're creating a script in your mind, where these results will lead to. You have already made up some mind that your results will be leading to what kind of conclusions and discussions. Now you will start building the other part, that is the introduction. You will write, you introduce the topic, you will provide the most concise and relevant literature review of this particular study, and then you will link it. The last section, the last paragraph of your introduction section will be linking the previous research, the previous literature with your current research. This is how you write an introduction section. You will provide citations, references, and after you have created a nice introduction, now it will come to the discussion section, the most important part of any study, because this is about data interpretation. This is about how you extracting science from the results, how you are extracting science, how you are creating new knowledge, how you are creating new science. Because remember, results are just results if you not interpreted efficiently. If you do not interpret results in an effective way, they are just a bunch of results. Nobody cares. The thing that builds your impact factor, the thing that decides that where your paper will be published, in what impact factor your paper will go, it is the discussions part, which is the most important one. That's the reason that you write it at the end, and it will take a lot of time. Now, you will interpret your data based on your previous knowledge, and quite frequently you will be using this. You will be using the knowledge from the previous papers. The way that you created notes, you will have to refer back to those notes again and again and again. And after a lot of work, you should be able to uh, interpret the data. You have to create the discussions, and sometimes the results and discussions they are just the one complete section. They are just merged together, and this is a very important part of the discussions. Now, after you have written the discussions, you will write conclusions. You will draw conclusions. What are the qualitative outcomes in your study? You will write conclusions, and after writing conclusions, now it will be the abstract. You will write an abstract. An effective, a concise, a well-written abstract is the key for the editorial process and for the review article. And remember, abstract is the only thing in a paper that will be read by every editor, every reviewer, and every reader or the scholar. So your abstract must be finely tuned, finely polished. It must be concise, given rationale of the study, as well as the important outcomes and conclusions. And I will just discuss into detail into the next slide that how can you incorporate different questions into each sections. And then at the end, you should be writing the title. That title must be very concise. That is also very important. So title will be written at the end. I hope you understand the difference between the natural order of a research article and the order in which you write a research article. Now, critical self-review of your manuscript. This is the key of this entire discussion. If you understand this slide, you have achieved a lot. You have achieved the purpose of this today's discussion. While you are writing your manuscript, or you have written your manuscript, you have to perform a critical self-review of your manuscript. You have to ask yourself whether you have answered these questions into each section of this paper. For example, you have to ask yourself about the title. Is the title clear, concise, and representative of the study? Does the title overstate or understate the findings of the study? About abstract, does the abstract present the rationale of the study before discussing the purpose? It is a common practice that the editors and the reviewers like that article, like that abstract, which starts with the rationale of the study. You have to provide the rationale of the study before discussing the purpose. You will provide a rationale. Does the abstract clearly define the purpose of the study, which will be the second part? And does the abstract include a brief description of the methods, what was done and results, what was found? Does the abstract conclude with the conclusion and implications, the applications? Are the methods and results in the abstract or descriptive? They must not be or descriptive. So you have to ask yourself these questions, and then you have to tune your article according to these questions. Are the keywords appropriate and representative of the study? Then you come to the introduction section. Is the introduction information, is the background information into the introduction relevant to the study? Have the gaps in the existing literature been clarified in the introduction? This is very important. The gaps, what do you mean by gaps in the existing literature? It means that while you will find a continuity in literature, you will find certain places where the literature is silent. And those were the places in which the previous studies were not able to answer certain questions. And those were the challenges. And those were actually the opportunities that you are trying to solve in your current paper. So you have to make sure that the gaps related to your study must be present in the existing literature. Is the rationale for the study clear? Have the hypothesis, research questions been stated? Hypothesis and research questions must be clearly stated in the introduction section. And if it's a kind of study that no hypothesis or research question is involved, then you must be clearly providing the objectives. Have the objectives of the study been presented clearly? And does the introduction exclude details about the methods and results? Yes, the introduction section must exclude, it must not contain details about methods and the results. Then the next section is materials and methods. Does the methods section present all the necessary information regarding the protocols followed? Are explanations of the protocols relevant to the study and its applications? You have to present your methods. You have to present your protocols and methodology in a way that must be reproducible by the next scientist. Have the author explained why they have chosen a certain method? Have all the study variables, units of observation, and sources of material and equipment been defined? Have the methods been presented in chronological order, in the order in which they were performed? And there must be a natural order. I mean, you cannot present the X-ray diffraction and the TEM and SEM before synthesis. First comes synthesis, and then it will be their characterizations. Then the most important part, the results and discussion section. Does the order of the results correspond to that of methods? Have the authors stated whether the proposed hypothesis was verified or falsified? Have the results been merely repeated rather than interpreted in the discussion? This is very important. It must not be a bunch of results. You have to interpret the data. You have to extract some new knowledge, some new science. You have to find some new science. Have previous studies with similar findings been cited in discussions? Have studies with dissimilar findings been cited in discussions? Have the limitations been mentioned? And after that, it's about conclusions. Has information from the discussion been repeated in conclusions? It must not be repeated. Is the conclusion based on the results of the study? Have the theoretical implications been identified? Have the practical implications been identified? Does the scope of the future research seem clear? Believe me, when you optimize, when you customize your final research article according to these questions, when you address all these issues, within each section after your research article, believe me, there is no reason that it will not be going to high impact journal. You have to incorporate. This is a gift for you. That's it from my side, students. You can contact me uh, using these email addresses. You can take a picture. I use these two email addresses. You can follow me on Twitter, and most importantly, you can add me on Facebook. I also use WhatsApp, and you can feel free to send me your articles, your queries, audio messages on this WhatsApp, and you can also find me on Google Scholar with this query, Saklan Shah. Thank you very much. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I will quickly launch the polling, Zoom polling. You can type your comments and your questions in the chat box and respond to the polling, please. Dr. Saklan, we had a question at 1:33 from Mr. Rizwanullah, which was responded by Dr. Zia, but I'll still read that out for you. It was basically that what if Mr. Rizwanullah from the computer department, what if Google Scholar is not providing the PDF of our required research paper? Then from where we can search this research paper? And Dr. Zia responded that many are paid for, but do ask the library if you can access. If free institution access available, if not, library could have some options to explore. So this is what Dr. Zia responded. We have a comment from Miss Amna Gul from Allama Iqbal Open University. She says, awesome session, so practical, Jazakallah. Miss Sana Bhatti says, a great session, thank you, sir. Dr. Shaista Ali says, wonderful session, best so far. Miss Bharat Ali says, thank you, nice session. Miss Aksa Server, you need to update your Zoom account because that's the only reason why polling is not visible. Mohammed Mustafa from the School of Life Sciences says that if generative AI is used in raising a manuscript, it is required to be disclosed in the publication. How will it be affected the reviewing process? Dr. Saklan, can you please respond to that?
If generative AI is used in erasing a manuscript, it is required to be disclosed in the publication. How will it? I don't understand your question. If you mean that you want to use Chat GPT, you know, you write a research article by yourself. Chat GPT or any generative AI cannot help you more than a limit. And believe me, never rely entirely on the Chat GPT.
Excuse me, Dr. Can I?
Yeah,
am I audible?
Please.
Can I rephrase my question?
Sure, sir. Sure, please.
Okay, so the options like Copilot, which you have showed during your presentation, or the Bard, which we used in Google, or the Chat GTP, or whatever the generative AI softwares we use to summarize any manuscript or to enhance the quality of our text. So if we are using any sort of generative AI, the current publications and the journals, they are asking us, they have added a section that we need to disclose if in case we are using any sort of generative AI softwares. I mean, they're not stopping us to use the generative AI, but they want us to mention exactly what type of software we are using. So how much it will going to affect the quality of publication, and how the journals will think about us, or the reviewer will think about us, if we are writing in the disclosure that I have generated my abstract or introduction using flana generative AI method.
May I respond to that, Mustafa? Mustafa, generative AI is now getting a proper reference citation scheme. You know, they have a law, you know, they say if you use AI, please list it here. So nobody is going to question the quality, I think, by and large, unless they have a clear policy. Your quality of the writing is not going to be questioned. But of course, at some point, they might want to know what is the percentage of the document that has come from, like you do in Turnitin, what is the similarity check? And I think that is not far if they're not doing it already. But I don't think it will affect the quality. Like Siklan was saying, he's right. ChatGPT as yet does not have the quality that is still demanded by researchers and research experts. At the end of the day, it is a very good together, a draft of what is out there. But your reflections are individual. Also, at times, especially in social sciences. And so human mind still has an edge. But I don't know how long they'll be able to maintain that quality. So right now, they ask for a reference. I suggest you give in a reference. We are very happy to see if somebody else has a response to that. Saklan, if you have another response.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mustafa, for this nice question.
Yeah.
I provided you typeset.io and R discovery. These were meant for the efficient reading of an article. That suppose you got an article of 38 pages and you want to just pay attention to a particular section of that article. You want to find methodology. You want to find the summary of that article very efficiently, and you want to save time. That was about reading those articles. So using AI for reading purposes. Now, other thing is using AI for writing purposes, which is ChatGPT. Mostly the first thing that comes in mind is the ChatGPT. And I hope you are aware that several articles have already been published in which ChatGPT was a co-author. So I think it is becoming a norm. Now, although it is one story, it is one thing that ChatGPT may not be helping you much in writing an effective research article, because the data creation, the data analysis, the data interpretation, what the human brain can process, it is much superior than what artificial intelligence, what ChatGPT knows at this current stage. And I have tested it several times. I'm a frequent user of ChatGPT for various purposes, and I've seen that it generates fake citations. You give it a query and it will create a generic knowledge. It will give you a generic knowledge. It will never give you any specific information, any fine-tuned information. It will not give you any detailed descriptions of a particular mechanism. It is very superficial. You can use it to fine-tune your language of your articles, but entirely relying on ChatGPT or artificial intelligence, I don't recommend for the students, because it may give you more damage than it will give you any good for you.
Very good. Hand up.
ये मुस्तफा साहब कुछ कहना चाहते हैं, डॉक्टर मुस्तफा साहब.
अच्छा, बोलिए. Yeah, Mustafa, please go on.
Dr. Mustafa, your mic is off.
No, I unmuted. Gohar mutes it again.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I was just have a point what Dr. Saklan was talking about, that that we need to understand that still the human factor is a factor for the time being. So it's not about it's about using the tool, not like become a slave of the tool or dependent of the tool. So it should be like a calculator for us for the time being, until unless,
like I said, you were saying, the time being. Asher Johnson has a comment. I would appreciate if we could go to him. Ji Asher. He disappears, I think. He comes on and then he disappears. Asher?
Okay.
Ji Asher.
So thank you. I got unmuted. So I just wanted to share something which Dr. Sab already shared about few articles which are published actually by a few people using ChatGPT. So that is Dr. Sab already shared. But I just wanted to ask about, there are, for example, Grammarly. It's a software, it's an application which actually helps to proofread, which helps to rewrite your sentences and sometimes write everything for you. So when someone was asking to mention a certain chat GPT tool, so is Grammarly a chat GPT tool? Though it is a chat GPT because it is doing what chat GPT does, it actually creates sentence for you, it edits sentences. So where does Grammarly stand here?
Yes, I am a frequent user of Grammarly. I use it every day. I use Quillbot. I use Grammarly. I use ChatGPT. Meanwhile, I would like to tell you that I am an internationally certified scientific academic writer, editor, and proofreader. In fact, I'm associated with certain international companies, and I'm actually paid for that purpose. Anybody can do that. I'm using these AI tools, Grammarly, and again, I'm telling you that you cannot entirely rely on Grammarly, because every day I'd find that Grammarly is changing the context. It changes the context. You have some other context in your mind, and Grammarly, since it is an AI, it destroys the context sometimes, although it is very effective most of the times, but it is not the 100% thing. You cannot just rely it blindly. You have to keep your mind open, that when you are implementing the Grammarly suggestions, you have to be careful that it is not changing the context. Otherwise, Grammarly is a very good tool. Quillbot is a very good
Just
tool.
add that, but you have to be better than AI tools. That's the hitch. Are you better to find than these AI tools, to find the flaws in these tools? You're right, Saklan. I'm writing, Grammarly checks it up, and I keep on saying dismiss. This is not what I mean to get across. And so, yes, but how many of us are beyond that language that Grammarly offers, and that is pretty good, reasonable for most of us. So the point is, to beat the AI, you have to be better than AI, and that's a tough task. So that's a tough ask. Any other comments?
There is a question that is the order of writing same goes for review articles. Yeah, review articles does not have that kind of order except for title, introduction, and the conclusion. Title, abstract, and conclusion, they remain on the same position, but otherwise you will see different sections and different headings and subheadings. So a review article is different. It's written in a different way, and it depends on that particular expert, that how it is writing. It is not a regular article. It has a different format of writing. Yes.
Yeah, I do not see any of the comments. But it was a great session as always. I know you, Saklan, you have lots of practical experience to offer. And Mustafa is another one of our science wizards in many other things. But thank you so much. And it was a delight to have you with us once again, a privilege. Okay. And thank you for all the participants who were with us throughout this event. Thank you so much. I see lots of non-FCC participants, and we are very, very happy to have you with us. Thank you again. Thank you
so much, everyone. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.